So it turns out the Bayesian yacht disaster, the sinking of the Bayesian, this saga keeps on going. I had posted some video of a similar situation in Auckland Harbor in New Zealand of a yacht, a large 145-foot sloop rig yacht taking a full knockdown with a water spout that went across the Auckland waterfront, and the yacht was Encore. I've got additional footage of the aftermath of that event, what happened after that, and that's coming up, so stay tuned for that. And recent developments with the Italian sea group Giovanni Constantino. So the never-ending saga of the Bayesian yacht sinking continues. The Italian sea group has launched a lawsuit against the widow of Mike Lynch, and her having just suffered the loss of her husband and her daughter. They filed suit for damages against their reputation as the Italian sea group and the brand name Perini Navi. So probably not the smartest marketing move ever performed by a corporation. They had launched it. It was quickly walked back by Giovanni Constantino, saying it was never authorized for their lawyer to move forward with that. So, of course, they had discussed it, it seemed, as far as we can tell from the news reports, and quickly walked it back because the perception of that would have been extremely negative. But the cat is out of the bag, so to speak, and so they're trying to do damage control by walking that statement and that filing back. They have removed that filing from the courts, so it is no longer in existence. However, the news did get out. And for a company trying to protect its reputation, going after the widow of a man who just died along with their daughter who just died is not a very good look. I'm sure the marketing department there at the Italian Sea Group was not overjoyed. One of my first videos about the Bayesian sinking, I put online on YouTube video in Auckland Harbor of a tornado that went across the harbor, complete knockdown of Encore, as well as a catamaran doing cartwheels across the harbor. Encore was in that video, and since then a lot of people have found that footage and have used it on their channel. We've got additional footage of the aftermath when Encore went down. She broke her lines and went adrift into the Auckland harbor. And luckily there was one, I had a friend on board, and he got control of the yacht after getting down from the ceiling harbor, and here's the footage of that. So we can see the storm coming across with the water spout across the waterfront, and then in this very grainy video you'll see a sailboat appear. You can see that little speck right there. That's the yacht Encore coming across the harbor. In this footage it's a good deal clearer, still very grainy. The water spout has just gone across, and now you can see Encore drifting out of the marina. So if we look at the two vessels as a comparison, the Perini Navi yachts of the past, the steel-hulled versions, were not performance-oriented. They were just very luxurious, voluminous yachts, and that changed. I think a number of owners and captains kind of yearned for more performance-oriented designs and construction. They went to aluminum and for the superstructures, and eventually for the hulls, and new designers came into the fold. There were a number of very good designers who worked with Perini Navi to develop more performance-oriented yachts, still retaining the large volume and beautiful interiors. Bayesian was one of the yachts that had an aluminum hull and aluminum superstructure. So she was a little more along the lines of performance leaning. However, she was a big, very wide body yacht. So in regards to the sinking, I was talking to a number of superyacht captain friends of mine in regards to the mast. There are many factors, of course, that can contribute to the sinking of this Perini Navi, but the mast was a focus at 237 feet, the largest aluminum mast in the world, and weighs approximately, from what we understood, 28 tons. So a very significant weight. One of the captains has a 200-foot mast on his yacht in carbon fiber, and it weighs 1.7 tons. So a stark difference there. The feeling was that the momentum of a mast, aluminum mast like that, getting hit by a downburst would have been extremely severe, and the momentum sending that mast down into the water could have very well put her in a rollover situation. If that mast hit the water and then filled up with water at the very top of the mast, it could have continued sending that boat over. Another point of discussion was the keel on the Bayesian. So with the board up, it has a draft of 13 feet. Then with the board down, a draft of 32 feet. So quite a long board, and it's not uncommon for these boards to be raised while the vessel is at anchor, because they do move around in the aperture in the keel stub and create a resonant noise inside the boat, which definitely can be heard. So it's not uncommon for those to be raised at anchor. The function of that board really is, while sailing, it allows a limited leeway and also allows the boat to more efficiently sail to windward. So it's a high aspect daggerboard that allows the boat to sail closer to the wind in upwind situations, and also minimizes leeway, sliding sideways when she's sailing beam reach or close hold. So another question, of course, that many people have talked about are the air handling vents on the external areas of the hull in the aft part of the yacht. So this is a rarity for obvious reasons, and many people have talked about a down flooding angle of 44 degrees, which is, of course, very questionable. The boat suffering a knockdown at sea, seawater would definitely be able to flood in through those vents in that case. So modern boats aren't set up with external air handling vents on the outside of the hull. Typically, they're towards the center line on the superstructure of the yacht, either through the coaming areas on the superstructure, and or sometimes vented exhaust up through the mast in some cases. So not a practice that is done by manufacturers today. I don't remember seeing a boat with external air handlers or air handling vents on the hull for obvious reasons. So very interesting setup here on this Perini. So an interesting fact, Perini was actually pioneers in a number of areas for extremely large sailing yachts. One of those were the invention of captive winches. So on boats this size, of course, would be extremely difficult to manually handle massive winches of the type needed to deal with these type of forces. Perini developed a captive winch system that allows that to be done either hydraulically or electrically, depending on the sail. So halyards, sheets, all go to hydraulics and are operated with that type of assistance. They pioneered that development. They also developed the first flybridge design for sailing yachts. So they were one of the first manufacturers to put a flybridge steering area up on the top of the superstructure. And so that is continued across a number of designs today. Many very large yachts have that type of flybridge arrangement, and it's an outstanding place to be able to con the boat. You have great visibility. So as an interesting safety feature on board Encore,
as opposed to the Bayesian where the stern of the yacht is blocked off. Encore, there's a series of steps that lead directly to the water's edge. So that's a safety feature. If someone falls off the boat, if there's a man overboard situation, you can quickly get down to the water's edge and assist that person getting out of the water. So it's a great advantage as opposed to launching hydraulic platforms or a side boarding ladder, which take time. And in these situations, time is of the essence. So being able to get right to the water's edge instantly and having a platform to get someone out of the water is an ideal setup. I'm surprised more yachts don't incorporate this into their design, because typically in large yacht designs, this area is kind of blocked off. People like now to have these stern platforms, little balconies on the sea. But in this scenario, it's ideal because also when you're fishing and doing a crossing, it's a perfect place to land a fish, do the filleting there. You have hoses to wash everything off. And it's also a congregation area when the boat's at anchor and people are having sundowners. It's a very social area for the boat as well. So in this ongoing saga about the Bayesian, I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about the damage control that the Italian Sea Group is trying to implement in regards to this lawsuit that got out to the press across the world. It's a very negative look. As they try to walk this back, I'm sure we'll be seeing more details emerge as they try to float the boat and get a clearer understanding of how this disaster happened, and look at some of the key points that have been mentioned across a number of press releases and YouTube channels. So we'll see as they bring that boat up and get more details. Until then, do stand by, and if you like this content, please do subscribe.